Will ANC Secretary-General Ace Magashule step aside? The 30-day provision set by the party comes to an end today. Magashule faces corruption and fraud charges, was given time to consult with senior party members and former leaders. If he doesn't step aside, he could be suspended from the party. Let's talk more about this with political analyst David Monyae joins us from Johannesburg. David, good to see you again after a while. Is he going to step aside?
He has no choice but to step aside. I think it is good for him, politically speaking, as well as for the organization. He can take his case either to court or to galvanize forces within ANC to ensure that the matter is discussed at a further stage.
Okay, is that the safest outcome for the party? There have been warnings, ominous warnings, that this is going to split the party, break it apart. Is that likely to happen?
I doubt very much, given the fact that he has corruption cases against him. I think the party itself is facing huge corruption cases. Some of the members who are facing this. And therefore, I think the image that he has created is being expelled or suspended on corruption and not any other matter that is core to the original mission of the party, that is emancipating majority of people, black people, as well as on issues of land inequality, unemployment, health issues, free education. So those issues have nothing to do with his case. He has to deal with issues which are very personal, which is accumulation of wealth at the expense of the masses. So this is the core matter that he has confronted. And some of his members will distance themselves as he gets into court.
I was going to ask you about that. I mean, we saw rather desperate measures towards the end, speaking or getting advice from Jacob Zuma, looking to the EFF for legal advice as well. He must be aware of the diminishing numbers of supporters and the growing number of supporters that we've seen for Cyril Ramaphosa.
Indeed. I think the party is at a crossroad, that it has to look back and really seriously decide going forward what exactly the party should do in terms of distancing itself from corrupt individuals and ensure that you really protect the party and the integrity of the party in terms of dealing with the issues of development. And since 1994, 27 years in freedom, it appears that the narrative surrounding the party is much more of poor governance in terms of lack of delivery on the ground, as well as the question of corruption, that it has to go back to the developmental path. And how to do that, I think it has to do with the selection of leaders as well as people within the party in deciding what are the key documents of the party and how to channel the positive image of the party as it deals with the elections that are coming in.
You know, you've got to wonder how much work gets done when a party is so corrupt at its heart, and how much work is done to try and, you know, paper over that. He said he'd never leave the ANC. Is there a chance that he might? I mean, he still does have some sort of support. I mean, how dangerous a probability is that?
There are very few people that leave the ANC, but the question is, he won't be participating as the Secretary-General. That's the very first thing. He won't have the protection of the party on a number of key issues, nor will he speak on behalf of the party, and therefore he might have followers, but I think with time he won't have the capacity, resources that are required, I think, for him to really challenge the party. The party is
okay, David, sorry, can I just jump in here? We've got little time. I want to quickly get a question out. How significant that Supra Magashule has been suspended for 5 years? He's a supporter of Ace Magashule. And also the fact that the DA has lost two quite big hitters.
Indeed. I mean, what we are seeing is that those on the wrong side of history within the party seem to be gradually losing support. And as we go forward, the ANC still commands massive support on the ground. But all depends with the kind of leadership that is going to put in front for local elections, how it is going to deal with the report that coming from the state capture, the final report that is, and how will the state entities as well as the legal entities deal with those who are found to have crossed or found to be corrupt in terms of investigation, the duration, and are there people going to be punished or not? All this will determine to what extent will the party stay in power much longer.
Okay, thank you, David, and we'll talk about the DA.